All right, we're gonna briefly deal with this video on fringes by the elder of Israel of God. I want to say they are for Wesley Chapel, the one in Atlanta, but they've been there a minute, man. I've heard great things about this ministry. May differ on some things doctrinally, but I haven't heard nothing crazy come out of there. Everything I've heard is pretty much been of good report. But we always ask, because they do teach that the blacks, Latinos, Native Americans are Israelites, and we keep certain feast days and so forth. The question always comes about is, well, why y'all don't wear fringes? And he's going to explain it. The leader of that congregation is going to explain that here. And let's just see if the methodology holds up.
Now, the Lord gonna give them something to remind them not to do something like this and break his law. And let's see what he did. But we see this guy, they found this guy out there gathering sticks on the Sabbath day. Let
me go back.
32. Numbers 15, and we're gonna start reading at verse 32. Okay, go ahead.
And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Sabbath day. And they that found him gathering sticks brought him unto Moses and Aaron and unto all the congregation. And they put him in ward because it was not declared what should be done to him. And
now look, now they saw this guy. God told you to remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Don't do no work on that day. But we see this guy, they found this guy out there gathering sticks on the Sabbath day. They didn't know what to do with this guy. So they took him to Moses. Moses them didn't know what to do with this guy because it hadn't been declared what you do with somebody that break the Sabbath day. So then they consulted God. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord said unto Moses, the man shall be utterly put to death. All the congregation shall stone him with stones without the camp.
Now the Lord said you're going to put him to death. Go ahead and read.
And all the congregation brought him without the camp and stoned him with stones, and he died as the Lord commanded Moses.
So now he got stoned for doing this. Now, the Lord going to give them something to remind them not to do something like this and break his law. And let's see what he added to keep them from breaking his law. Go ahead and read. What verse?
Verse 37.
Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying,
Go ahead.
Speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generation.
Now I want you to make them some fringes now. At the borders of the garments throughout their generation. Go ahead and read.
And that they put upon the fringe of the borders a riband of blue.
Go ahead.
And it shall be unto you for a fringe, that ye may look upon it and remember all the commandments of the Lord and do them. And that ye seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which ye used to go a-whoring.
Now, why did he tell them to put these fringes on, sister and brother? To remember to keep the commandments, didn't he? Read the next verse. Go ahead.
That ye may remember and do all my commandments and be holy unto your God.
So he establishing that, what's the purpose of the fringes? It's that you can remember. All right?
The commandment was
to keep the commandments.
there. The people knew the commandment. So he said, now look, because this guy done broke the commandments and y'all gonna do it too and get killed like him, I want y'all to put some fringes on the hems of your garment to remind you to keep the commandments. Now, keep your spot here because we're gonna come back here. Now let's go into Jeremiah the 31st chapter. Jeremiah 31. This ain't going to take long, sisters and brothers. It don't take long to dispel the falsehood. Jeremiah 31. And we're going to start reading at verse 31. Jeremiah 31 and verse 31. Because I get tired of people coming to me like there's some great wisdom that I don't know about.
I'm tired of y'all coming to him about that.
And you teaching the people wrong. I'm teaching the people the book. Jeremiah 31 and 31, read it.
Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt.
Now the new covenant, he said, I'm going to make this new covenant. I ain't going to do it like the covenant that I made with them when Moses them was in the wilderness, when I brought them out of Egypt. Go ahead and read.
which my covenant they break.
Go ahead.
Although I was an husband unto them, saith the Lord. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel.
Go ahead.
After those days, saith the Lord, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their God, and they shall be my people.
So this is the new covenant. It ain't going to be like the old one. This new covenant, I'm going to put my law in their heart and write them in their inward part. Now, why should he do that being that he got garments on? To remind you.
All right. Now, let me just, he about to make his point.
Keep the law. Right. But let's go on to Hebrews. This new covenant, I'm going to put my law in their heart and write them in their inward part. Now, why should he do that being that he got garments on? To remind you to keep the law. Right. But let's go on to Hebrews, the 8th chapter, and we're going to let Paul co-sign this. Out of the mouth of two or more witnesses is a fact established, sisters and brothers. Hebrews chapter 8. Because I don't like people coming to me and asking me why I can't, especially if you've been in here sitting in here, why don't we wear fringes? But if you want to know, I'm telling you, showing you right now. Hebrews chapter 8. Because, sisters and brothers, this is a pain. This is our culture. And we're going to start reading at verse 7, 8 and 7. Okay, go ahead.
For that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. For finding fault with them, he said, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah.
Now, he said the first covenant had been faultless, but he found fault with them. What fault? They had fringes to remind them to keep the law. And then they still didn't keep the law, so then they had to kill animals because they broke the law. And no matter what he did, the fringes and the animal sacrifice, it did not keep them from breaking the law.
That's right.
See, so what I'm going to do then, I'm going to write them in their mind.
That's right. So
it'll be ever present with them. Go ahead and read.
So let's listen to what this develop the methodology here. He's saying that the fringes were there for a reminder, but the fringes couldn't stop them from sinning. Nor could the sacrifices stop them from sinning. But this new covenant is going to be written on their hearts and minds. That's going to be better, and evidently it's going to stop them from sinning. When you're in this new covenant and it's written on your heart, you shouldn't be sinning. You're not going to sin.
According to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith the Lord.
So they wore the fringes and killed the animals, but still they sinned.
That's right.
Because they continue not. I ain't going to do it no more. This is what I'm going to do. Go ahead and read.
For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord.
And the key is, after what days?
I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts. And I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people.
Read a little more.
And they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother.
Yeah, and there will, and when this happens, and this is my problem with us saying we in the New Testament, this is one of the things we're gonna have to figure out is how much are we into this covenant if we still need to be teaching? Nobody will need to teach.
Saying, know the Lord, for all shall know me from the least to the greatest.
And how will they know him? How will they know him? Why? They'll know him because the Lord put it in their hearts.
So once he educates you and get it recorded in your mind, nobody have to teach you thou shalt not.
Right.
You understand? I don't have to go back and look at my garment and say, oh, I can't steal.
He don't have to look at his garment no more to say he can't steal. Now, the question is, has this happened? Are we living in that dispensation? Do you have a church filled with people? You know, you can speak for yourself. Maybe you don't sin since whenever that time happened that you became into that new covenant. But we're gonna look into a verse that kind of defines what and it doesn't totally define it, but it gives us an example of something that we can glean from on what does it mean to have that written on your heart.
I don't have to go back to the house where it's written on the doorpost, oh, I can't kill. Or either if I sin.
And the problem too is that it's nobody has to teach you. When it's written on your heart, nobody has to tell you this. It don't have to be written nowhere. It's already in you. Nobody had to show you this.
And whoops, I got to kill me an animal. I just said, every time I get ready to do something stupid, something in my mind said, thou shalt not.
And see, even that, he's saying, when I see, if I'm finna do something stupid in my mind, I just say, thou shalt not. Hold on.
Or either if I sin, whoops, I got to kill me an animal. I just said, every time I get ready to do something stupid, something in my mind said, thou shalt not.
And so there's something, he still gets in his mind to do stupid stuff, but there's something also in his mind to say, or he says, thou shalt not. He knows not to do it. But he still has the challenge of sin. For me, I don't feel if you have it written in your hearts and have it written in your mind, if that's the dispensation that we saying we in, I don't feel like nobody has to be taught it. I feel like even if a child is born, that child will just be born with that embedded in them, and they will automatically follow the laws. Like it's nothing you have to tell them. You don't have to school them on that. They're gonna automatically do it. All right.
If the Lord, listen to me, if the Lord had intended for us to wear fringes, he would have gave it to us just like he gave us the dietary law and the commandments and the Sabbath day. He would not have somebody get stoned to death for him to add fringes.
And that's another, that's just speculation. That's just speculation. Yeah, man, he would have gave it to us with this if that was the consequences. Like, really, the fringes are mercy. So the rest of you don't die and get stoned to death like that brother got stoned to death. Put these on, that remind you, and I agree with that. But the methodology is what we need to look at to if we're going to try to change this brother's mind, you have to do it through his methodology and to show some flaws in his way of thinking.
Now let me go. I told you to keep the spot. I want to show you something else too. But it's throughout your generations. I'm gonna read that.
And I don't know if but I want y'all to see this. Let me go here to Romans 2. Romans 2:14. It says, for when the Gentiles, which have not the law, so they've never been taught the law, know nothing about the law, do by nature the things contained in the law. The Gentiles, which don't know the law, but naturally do certain things contained in the law, even though they having not the law, or a law unto themselves. He says, these things, watch this now, which show the work of the law written in their hearts. What shows that the work of the law is written in their hearts? That they're doing things without being told, without even being given the law. It's just automatically there. They didn't get no Leviticus. All right, they didn't get no Leviticus. Whatever they're doing that's contained in the law, they're doing it. They doing it naturally without anybody telling you. And then Paul is saying this is proof that they have some of these things written on their hearts. Their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts, the meanwhile cussing or accusing one another. But what I would glean from that is that if we're fully to what it means to have the laws written on your heart, and we seeing no teaching has to be done, I don't think it's something where the Lord gonna teach you. No, it doesn't have to happen. Nobody ain't got to tell you nothing about resting on no Sabbath. You're gonna automatically just, I need to rest this day. You just gonna do it. I'm resting this day. Nobody had to tell you, because it's already written on your mind. It's already embedded in you. It's in your programming. You're not fighting sin. You're programmed a certain way. So and just using his methodology, if he don't have to fight sin, if he doesn't have to fight sin, if he doesn't have to mortify his flesh, like there ain't no need of mortifying no flesh if you have it already written in your hearts and your mind. That mortification of the flesh is over. So if you do have it and you're walking perfectly out here, because you're gonna be walking perfect, and your congregation is walking perfect, then you don't need fringes. I wouldn't say you. I will say you right, but I don't believe that you or your congregation is walking perfect. I believe what the text says, that all have fallen short. And if all have fallen short, then all are deserving of what happened to that individual who gathered those sticks on the Sabbath. Each and every last one of us are we are deserving of that same fate, to be taken outside of the camp and stoned to death. The only reason you're not stoned to death is because of a grace and mercy in the blood. See, there's still a sacrifice that had to be there for your atoning. You needed that sacrifice. And the person that sacrificed for your atoning also wore fringes. And that's what the crazy part is, that he did walk perfect. So the only one who walked this earth that did not commit any sin wore fringes. The only one on here that we can say, hey, without a shadow, them things was written on his heart. They might have been written on his heart and his mind. He he was accused of something, but he didn't break none of those. He didn't break none of those laws, but he wore fringes. Did he need to be reminded? Nah, Christ didn't need to be reminded. And so my problem with what he's saying is more so in what does it mean to have the laws written on your heart and on your mind? Are you fully in that dispensation are you fully in the dispensation of Jeremiah 31:31? And if we were, why do these people line up every day to hear you speak? Why not every day, but every Sabbath? Why are they coming in here to hear you speak, elder? What are you teaching them that they don't already know? And if you are teaching them something, like right now you're teaching them that they don't have to wear fringes, that should already be on their hearts. That should already be on their mind. But it's not. It's not. People are still in sin. You have a congregation of sinners. I'm not gonna say you a sinner. I'm a sinner. I've fallen short. And I know that I couldn't keep it. Not all the requirements of the law. That's why we were given a better covenant. And I would love to see how you just, because I want to understand how you decipher, like you took the commandments, took the law, but you didn't take the fringes. And one of the reasons the brother said he didn't take the fringes is because it wasn't said with the Levitical law. Then I would ask you, do you even know how the text was even composed? We can sit down on that also. But there are a lot of laws that came afterward. There are a lot of laws that came afterward that I would bring up to say, hey, well, do you follow this? Like the keeping the Sabbath. I want to say the no work is there, but the no buying, no selling, I think that's in Nehemiah. And do you keep the no buying, no selling? Do you keep that part? Because we see it in Nehemiah. We see it later. We don't see it in Leviticus. Do you keep that part of the Sabbath? And I would want to see if that methodology fits. But ultimately, y'all, I just wanted to deal with what he was saying and his reasoning. Basically, just to sum this up, he's saying, hey, we're in the new covenant. We don't need a reminder. The fringes are just a reminder. We don't need a reminder because the law is on our hearts. Okay, if the law is on your heart, then you shouldn't be sinning. You shouldn't be teaching. The law is on everybody's heart. If somebody falls to sin, then they need fringes. According to your methodology, because the fringes were given to somebody who sinned. After he sinned, we had to think of the fringes to remind them. If somebody sins, then they need to evidently be reminded to keep the law. If you have the law in your inner parts and you have them written on your heart, you're not going to sin because you never need to be reminded. Okay, and something's in you just gonna automatically say, no, you can't do that, and you're not gonna do it. And so keep the fringes on. Keep the fringes away. And if that's the case, if you have that programming, you don't need fringes. But if you are someone that falls to sin, and you fail to sin, then you need to have fringes on. If you're an Israelite. With that, I say shalom. I pray this thing was edifying. If any questions you have, I'm not gonna get it because we know what the law says. We're just dealing with why we saying it's why that law is null and void now. And I don't agree with the stance of it being fully being on our hearts. Because it's not something, because I see in the text where people who didn't know nothing about the law kept it, and this was a evidence or a proof that they had it written on their hearts. So I would think if you fully got it written on your heart, then nobody has to tell you anything. All right, you just gonna be doing it. You ain't got to teach them nothing. You don't have to teach them nothing. And then we see, even in the Acts and stuff like that, man, saying, well, Moses taught in the synagogues, and, we had to reason about what is that? What are they telling them? Why are they saying that to the Gentiles that, hey, they can do this, and Moses is taught in the synagogues. You can get into that also. But I don't think that. And if you think that, it's fully, let's have that conversation. What does it mean to have to be the laws are written on your heart and your mind? And that nobody has to teach you. And keep in mind the Romans 2:14. Shalom, y'all be blessed. See y'all on the next one.